Hey, how's it going everybody? Welcome back to Aussie Fish Keeping. So in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a few things you can do if you notice you have low oxygen levels in your aquarium. So depending on how low your oxygen levels actually are, it can be super dangerous for your fish or any other livestock that's in your aquarium. So it's always best to try and make sure you have decent oxygen levels in your aquarium, just to make sure your fish stay nice and healthy. So for today's video, I've picked out 6 things you can do to bring your oxygen levels back up in your aquarium. But without any further ado, let's just jump straight into today's video. So the number one thing you can do if you notice you have low oxygen levels is improve the surface agitation in your aquarium. So agitating the water surface increases the exchange of gases between the water and the air. This is because the turbulent surface allows for more oxygen to dissolve into the water and for carbon dioxide to escape. And you can achieve this by using some sort of power head that pushes flow towards the surface of your water, and that will just make ripples in the surface of your water. Or you could obviously alternatively use something like an air stone, which is actually going to be your best bet. Not only is it going to agitate the surface more, but it's literally pumping oxygen into your water column. You can also buy like these special fans that clip onto the side of your aquarium, and those actually agitate the water as well, although I'd say the best option is just using some sort of power head filter or an air stone. So yeah, with that being said, improving surface agitation is definitely a great way to bring your oxygen levels back up. As for tip number 2 on our list, we have checking and cleaning your equipment. So obviously I'm talking about checking your filters and making sure they're not clogged. So over time, filter media can become clogged with debris, reducing its effectiveness and water flow. So regular cleaning or replacement of filter media is crucial to ensure proper filtration and adequate oxygenation occurs in your aquarium. So the main reasons you have a filter in your aquarium is number 1, make sure there's a spot for beneficial bacteria to grow. Number 2, take out any debris in your water. And number 3, to agitate the water surface. And obviously it can't put out flow or agitate the water surface if it is clogged. So you do want to make sure you are doing regular cleaning, although you also want to make sure you're not over cleaning. So overcleaning can obviously happen if you're cleaning your filter too much, and what that will actually do is it'll actually strip your aquarium of all the beneficial bacteria that's needed to take care of, like ammonia, nitrites, and nitrates. But not only can your filters actually get clogged, air stones can get clogged as well. So I've had this happen before, and basically they can either be clogged with like algae or mineral buildups. And the easiest way to clean it, in my opinion, is just swish it around in some water or scrape it off with like a sponge. Or you could just really quickly turn up your air pump to like the max and pump a bunch of oxygen out of it, and that should clear your air stone a little bit more. But yeah, with that being said, checking and cleaning your equipment is another great way to raise up your oxygen levels. As for tip number 3, we have monitoring and maintaining your water temperature. So the reason for this is because high water temperature actually reduces the amount of dissolved oxygen in the water. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm not really too sure why that is. But that is why you want to make sure if you have like a heated aquarium that you have plenty of aeration in that water. Just because, like I said, the heated water does reduce the amount of dissolved oxygen. So yeah, tip number 3 on our list is making sure your temperature isn't too high, and also making sure it's like at a stable temperature so it's not constantly fluctuating. Moving on to the 4th tip on our list. This one is pretty obvious, and that's increasing the amount of plants in your aquarium. So just like most other type of plants, aquarium plants do photosynthesize, and through their photosynthesis they use carbon dioxide and light, and as a byproduct they do produce oxygen. So the higher plant load you have in your aquarium, obviously the more amount of oxygen they're going to produce. So in particular, there's going to be a lot more oxygen in your aquarium during the day. That's just because that's when photosynthesis is at its peak. So if you have plenty of plants in your aquarium, you shouldn't need to worry about your oxygen level depleting too much overnight. But if you only have a few, you may want to keep either a filter running overnight, or you may just want to get more plants. And that's just going to mean there's more oxygen in your water to last the fish overnight. Obviously, the oxygen is already getting exchanged from the water surface anyway, so you really shouldn't run out of oxygen in your aquarium ever. But low levels can be very dangerous for your fish, and it can cause them to become like weaker, which can make them more prone to diseases and things like that. So having no aquarium plants in your aquarium isn't going to mean you don't have any oxygen, but I would just recommend having a few in there just to enhance the amount of oxygen you do have. So yeah, with that being said, adding live aquarium plants is tip number 4 on our list. Moving on to the next tip on our list, we have performing more water changes. So regular water changes help remove accumulated waste, excess nutrients, and organic matter that can contribute to low oxygen levels. So you're usually going to want to change about 10 to 20% of the water weekly, and that helps maintain the overall water quality and ensures that the oxygen levels remain stable. Again, with this, you don't want to change your water too often just because you can strip all the nutrients out of your water, and if you do have plants in there, that's going to be bad for your plants. But weekly water changes are definitely mandatory to making sure you do have a sufficient amount of oxygen in your water. And then moving on to the final tip on our list, we have checking for overcrowding in your aquarium. So overcrowding can lead to high levels of waste and competition for oxygen amongst your fish. So you should ensure that your tank is not too overstocked and that each fish has adequate space. So I mean, this point is pretty obvious. Once again, if you do have more fish in your aquarium, obviously you're gonna need more oxygen. And like I said, if you have too many fish in your aquarium, not only can they foul up your water a lot more, which does reduce the water quality in general, but they also do use a lot more oxygen. And most of the time, the best way to tell if your aquarium is overstocked is number 1, if your water is getting murky very quickly. And number 2, if your fish are coming up to the surface and sort of gasping for air, that does mean that there's not enough oxygen in there. It could also mean they are sick, but most of the time it does mean there's not enough oxygen. And if you have a lot of fish in your aquarium, it's likely because it's overcrowded. So yeah, with that being said, checking for overstocking is another great way to ensure that there's plenty of oxygen in your water. So that is actually going to bring us to the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope this video helps a few of you guys out there. Like I said earlier, it's not really that big of an issue if you have low levels of oxygen in your aquarium, although obviously it can be a little bit dangerous for your fish depending on how many you have in there and like how much oxygen they use up. But for the most part, it's very rare that your tank runs out of oxygen, and as long as you're doing these 6 things, you shouldn't have any troubles with it whatsoever. So yeah, if you did enjoy today's video, please make sure to go down and subscribe, and while you're down there, smash the like button and comment your thoughts on today's video. I always love going down there and reading them all, and I try to reply back to as many comments as I can. Also, make sure to go check out my website, aussiefishkeeping.com. I've got all sorts of fish, botanicals, and other aquarium products up there. But yeah, with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all in that next video.